everyone. Hope you're all doing amazing. My name is Ifeanyi Omesiete and I'm a pediatric nutritionist. I'm also known as the Kid Nutritionist on Instagram, and I'm super excited to be here with you guys talking to you at Neo Childcare Moms Community. So I'm really excited to be here, as I mentioned before, and the reason for that is because prematurity or preemie babies is a topic that we don't always address. And I feel like we need to do more of creating more awareness, getting the right information out there. So I'm super excited to do this. And I'm happy that Neo Childcare is giving me the opportunity to speak to you today. Now, of course, you're going to be able to ask me questions because I will be in the group with you this evening, but I wanted to do this video just to be able to get across all the major information I feel like you need to know and let it be clear as well. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about optimizing nutrition for premature babies or preemie babies. And I'm going to be looking at three major principles. Now, if I look over to this side, it's just because I have notes because I didn't want to forget any bit of information. So let's get started. Now, ideally, a premature baby is a baby that is born earlier than 37 weeks. So from 37 weeks upwards, they are regarded as premature babies. Now, there are things we have, there are three different categories for premature babies, right? There's the early preemies, there's mid preemies, and then there's late preemies. Now, early preemies would be babies that are born from like 20 weeks and earlier, and then you have the mid ones, which are like in between maybe 30 weeks, and then of course from 35, 34 downwards. Now, when you're talking about optimizing nutrition for children in this age bracket, the first and the most important thing is that you have to remember that this child has not gotten the opportunity to be able to grow fully and develop completely within the womb. Now, for pregnancy, in the last month, that last few months, that between 37 to 40 weeks, that's when they put on a lot of flesh, they begin to add a lot of body mass, and they begin to get all the necessary things that will help protect them when they come out into the world. Now, because premature babies have missed this window, they're exposed to quite a number of things, from their lungs not fully being developed, their guts, which is their intestine, small intestine, large intestine, stomach not fully being developed, brain not being fully developed. So one of the major things that, medical professionals always look at is, how can we make sure this child doesn't get an infection? How can we make sure this child doesn't, die outside of while they're in the incubator? Making sure, so they're always connected to so many different kinds of machines. Now, because professionals are always looking at how much energy should this child get. Energy doesn't necessarily mean energy to be running around or flying around, but energy in the sense that how much energy can this child get in regards to development, now progressive development, putting on weight. Now, I need to say this. When you think about it this way, a lot of parents focus on weight gain. That should not be the case, which leads me to my first principle, which is focus on the overall health and development of a child. A premature baby is born with 90% of their weight being water. 10% is only the mass, and that energy mass is needed for brain development, like development of their brain, because the brain is what is going to send signals to all the organs in the body and help them to function and help them to develop properly. So if the brain doesn't get all the requirements that it needs, the rest of the body is not going to do very well, right? So there's something called the ABCDE concept. Okay, and I'll explain what that concept is. Now, this is a concept that is really important for parents or premature parents to have at the back of their mind, because it sort of helps you follow up with the health professionals and allows them to know that you are actually paying attention to the work that they're doing. Now, the ABCD principle or concept simply means A is for anthropometry, which, don't mind me, I don't use the term all the time, but this is simply, checking for body weight daily, hourly for some children, checking for, give me 1 second, I just need to make sure that I have all the data in my head. So looking for body weight, body mass, that's why you do body mass index, height, head circumference, how the brain is going, the score relative to brain, you know, is their skin looking good? Are they getting some color? Are they getting some flesh? So those are things that they're going to be looking at. And in order for them to pay attention to those things, you also have to be paying attention to it as well, right? You also want to be making sure that you are keying into that bit of information. So that's the A concept. The B concept is blood and biochemistry. Now, for children who are in the NICU, they're going to need proteins to be able to develop blood cells. They're going to need electrolytes, or sodium, micronutrients, zinc. Your breast milk as a premature baby's mom is the best source. When I say best, the best source for providing all these electrolytes. It's not in a fortifier anywhere. It is not in pre-NAN, it's not in post-NAN, it's not in pre-infant meal. It is in your breast milk. Your breast milk contains all the essentials, especially from colostrum in the beginning, and how colostrum is given to preterm babies is something called buccal colostrum, where they have to give them in tiny syringes and in bits and monitor them. So it's really important that nobody tells you otherwise. Your breast milk is key. It has the highest source of nutrients that your child is actually going to need to come out of the prematurity stage and actually get discharged to go home with you as a parent and for you to continue on breastfeeding. Now, breastfeeding doesn't necessarily mean breastfeeding from bottle or breastfeeding from syringe or breastfeeding directly from the breast. In fact, some premature babies take forever to actually end up being able to latch. And so it is not your fault, it is not by force, and it is not a requirement, right? You need to watch the progressive growth of the child and then begin to introduce latching gradually, because they don't have the mechanism. Some premature babies don't have the mechanism to be able to suck directly, right? And so you don't want to be putting them under that undue stress while their body is still trying to do a lot of catch up. So that's the blood and the biochemistry aspect in the ABCD concept. The second one is clinical, which is something that you want to be mindful. You don't have 110% control over this, but whenever you come in contact with your child, because the child is going to be in the NICU, going to be probably in an incubator, and the truth of the matter is that a lot of hospitals are not exactly the safest or the cleanest places for most children. Now, you want to be mindful of cleanliness. You want to be mindful of their skin, you know, making sure that you're not giving them a bath too much. They don't need excessive scrubbing. They're not filthy. They're not dirty. They need some of that, some of the oils on their skin and some of that good bacteria on their skin to actually still be on there to help with protecting them, right? Because bacteria, especially beneficial bacteria, helps to create that microbiome that your child needs. Now, a lot of research is being done today where we are finding that the more we pay attention to the microbiome and the ecosystem of these bacteria that actually live on our bodies and in our bodies, the more we can actually find out their full benefits, from being able to digest the food, from being able to protect the body, from being able to not allow undue population of bad bacteria to handle the child, because preemies are prone to quite a number of complications, right? So we've talked about the anthropometry aspect, which is, you know, making sure that their body weight is being checked, making sure that their head circumference and all those things are being checked, and the blood chemistry is also being checked as well. Blood and biochemistry, which is like the power of the breast milk. Like I mentioned, you don't need fortifiers. And then, of course, the clinical aspect, making sure that the environment around them is clean and you're not doing too much scrubbing, you're not doing too much, you know, scraping, bathing, over covering them so they are too warm, or leaving them open so they are too cold. You just want to be really mindful of that. Now, the D aspect is the dietary intake. Like I've already mentioned, your breast milk provides all the nutrients that they need. So from protein to energy right, which is the carbohydrate aspect. Now, we are not only going to be focusing on that, we're also going to be focusing on the micronutrients, the vitamins, vitamin A's, the B's, the C's, the D's, all of that good stuff. You want to be paying close attention to all of that, especially when you are breastfeeding. So what that means for you as a parent or as a mom is that you want to make sure you're eating right. You want to make sure that you're not stressing out too much. You want to make sure that you're sleeping. Don't let anyone take away your joy. Don't let anyone take away your sadness. It's already hard enough having a preemie baby. It's already hard enough, having to not hold your baby in your arms and be there all the time. So whenever you get the opportunity to do it, don't let people stress you out. Don't find yourself being unnecessarily stressed in the process as well. Don't find yourself being unnecessarily stressed in the process as well. It's really, really important. It's key that you focus on these aspects of your own health so that it can translate for your baby from in your breast milk, or just, holding and bonding and doing the kangaroo system, or just being able to make sure that the child gets to know you even while they're in the NICU. So don't let anybody take away your peace. Okay, now, of course, the environmental aspect of it, which is the E aspect of it. How is the environment that you're going to be bringing the baby into, especially when you're going to be getting discharged from the hospital? Is it clean? Have you made provision to ensure that where the child is sleeping is safe? Have you made provision to ensure that the child is not going to be experiencing any kind of undue stress or experiencing any kind of pain or discomfort while they're at home? Have you made provision to be going back to the hospital weekly so they can be checking their weight and checking their blood? Because for preemie babies, one of the most important things that is very key for every medical professional, especially the doctors or the pediatrician that's looking after your child, is their packed cell volume, PCV. They want to make sure that their PCV is increasing. Why? Because from your breast milk is what they're going to be getting all the amino acids that's going to ensure that they're building blood volume. So you want to make sure that you're going for those checkups and checking in. And then apart from the environment at home, the environment in the hospital that you find yourself in, create a friendly environment with the doctors or whoever it is, because the truth of the matter is that those are going to be your support system throughout this entire process. Don't allow Google to teach you how to look after your child. That's why we have sessions like this. From poo, you want to make sure that you're asking questions, right? Being a part of a community like this where you can be able to get accurate information. Looking at the child's poo. What color is the poo? How frequently should they poo? Ask those kind of questions. For premature babies, because they're not going to be taking in a lot and because they're going to be digesting a lot, don't be over-alarmed if the child is not pooing every day. That's not the major concern right now. The major concern is that they are getting adequate amounts of food. Another thing is, when you are discharged from the hospital, do not take it upon yourself to feel like you need to triple or quadruple or double the portions that they were taking in the hospital at home. That is not something I advise whatsoever, because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be putting that child at risk of a backup, right? Their digestive system hasn't gotten to that point yet. So it's best to follow the process very gradually, follow the process very carefully, take the instructions that you're being given very seriously, right? If they say 1 tablespoon every 1 hour, every 30 minutes, please do so. If they say 1 tablespoon every 20 minutes, please do so. If they say 1 tablespoon every 1 hour, please do so. Ask why so that you are well informed. And if you feel like the answer that you're getting is not adequate, check in with like Neo Childcare. They have an amazing plethora of professionals. You can even speak with me on the platform, whatever the case may be. Book a session, but get the right information. Don't allow yourself to be stuck on Google, because Google will scare you, right? And for every preemie A child, in fact, if you have triplets or if you have twins, the first twin, which is a preemie, and the second twin, which is a preemie, different individuals. So they will have different requirements and they will have different needs. And you need to make sure that you're being on top of that by ensuring that the environment that they're in is taking care of that efficiently, right? So we've talked about A, we talked about B, C, D, and sorry, there was a bit of network issues. But yes, so I'll go ahead and continue. So like I said, the A, B, C, D concept. Anthropometry, blood, biochemistry, the C aspect, which is the clinical, so making sure you're in support, making sure that you're keeping the environment clean around your child. And then D, which is the diet aspect, breast milk is king. And then, of course, E, the environment after. Are you well educated? Are you part of a community that will be giving you the best information that you need on this particular journey?